Hello and welcome back to Bombchu News. My name is Andron, joined by Chris, and today, well, there's actually not too much interesting. So instead, we like to do a slight aside and openly talk about our personal views on this whole loot box fiasco that EA has gotten themselves into, and a little bit about what it will mean for gaming moving forward. So in my general idea of what's going on with it, basically, like, even though Hawaii, Belgium, everyone else is coming after him, I don't really honestly see, like, EA changing the way they're doing things. I mean, it makes them a lot of money. It makes them, like, too much money almost, like, at a point where I'm pretty certain they make millions of dollars, kind of like, you know, the cellular phones and things like that. Like, the mobile games make millions upon millions of dollars. Like, there's no reason to change it, even if people are complaining about this game. They could still do it in another game and just do the exact same thing. A lot of what they got called out for was because they locked certain characters behind things, not necessarily they locked items and not even like the boosting stuff, like not even the stat boosting kind of things. Like, I thought that would get more flack, but really it was Darth Vader locked behind.
Yeah, I was expecting a lot more flack over the fact that so much of that loot box aspect was pay to win. It was, if you had the money to put into the loot boxes to get the star cards, you were immediately that much ahead of everybody else. But no, the one thing everybody seemed to focus on was locking those characters behind the loot boxes. I think the only thing that would ever get them to change their plans more than temporarily removing loot boxes would be if Disney makes them. Because when Disney contacted them and told them they were upset about how they were handling the whole situation, you know, that definitely is going to have a big impact on them. Because if Disney revokes that exclusivity right, EA is going to lose out on a ton of money. But I think if Disney doesn't force EA to change in some way, I can't see them changing on their own. Because like you said, it's too much money. One bad PR move is not going to make them change the way that they work.
For me, I guess this is where the whole optional argument comes in. This is what a lot of defenders of loot boxes say, is that loot boxes in Star Wars and every other game are optional, but they're not. I guess. Yeah,
the thing is that it all comes down to how the game is designed. So you look at a game like in Overwatch, where, you know, there's loot boxes for cosmetic skins, but it's nothing that affects in-game performance whatsoever. You look at Shadow of War, and the gameplay progression, especially for the ending of Shadow of War, is designed around you buying loot boxes. That's where it starts to become a problem.
So if the guy that made Stardew Valley started putting loot boxes in his game, right? And he's saying that it would cover him being able to continue to make improvements to Stardew Valley, I'd be okay with that, because that's
it would at least be more understandable.
Right, and it's an indie developer giving you probably cosmetic items in these loot boxes, something maybe rare that you can't get in the game, and he's just saying basically, here's some stuff you can have. This is stuff that maybe he gets some people to design like really cool looking things for the game, and then bam, you know, you have loot boxes for an indie game, which for me, it doesn't matter. Like Stardew Valley, who would buy loot boxes in Stardew Valley? But there's probably a lot of people. But at the same time, it's helping an indie developer who doesn't have investors, who doesn't have constant capital coming through from every single source, and then he can then say, yes, you know, these are actually helping me develop the game and maybe making a sequel, maybe making some other stuff, because now it's my livelihood.
Well, and it's all about that expectation where it's like, you know, when you spend $60, $50, whatever it is on a full price game, you're expecting a certain level of completion to the experience. And you're expecting a certain level of it not to be intrusive of trying to get you to buy more because you already just spent $60 on this game. Whereas if you go into a mobile game, especially if it's a free mobile game like most of them are, you expect a certain level of advertisements and trying to entice you to buy certain things because that's how they make their money. I think, especially in the case of Valve with stuff like Dota and Counter-Strike, I think they're going to try to keep their heads down. The main change would not be surprised to see coming would be more companies worldwide adopting what Overwatch does for China with their loot boxes, which is where they label the actual percentage chance of getting whatever it is item that you're trying to get. So I would not be surprised to see more games and companies start actually labeling the percentage chance to get items from a loot box in order to try to avoid this situation in the future, because then they can say, well, it's technically not gambling, you know at least up front what your chances are of getting something, so...
Yeah, but would that count as... Because I mean, like, even in gambling, like, there are odds, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're betting on something, there's an odds thing that you get told up front, then you're like, I'm still going to gamble. So,
yeah. I think the idea is that if it's labeled up front to understand the risks better, so it's not just so much of a blind gamble as much as it's a calculated risk as opposed to a gamble for the little difference that makes.
That makes sense. So basically giving them more information instead of presenting it as a toy to play with, which is what Battlefront 2 currently is doing and why the Hawaii and Belgium committees are like going after them so hard, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think that may work. Like there's some companies that are never going to do it. Like I know any developers can't usually afford to try to add a system like that. And I guess that's really where I'm a little sad, because any developers would benefit from loot boxes. Like they would definitely, people pour money into that crap, like $1 a day even for them would be amazing, you know?
Yeah.
Especially for the smaller ones that may make a game that sells like 10,000 copies versus like a couple million, you know? Like they would need that kind of thing to keep going, but...
Yeah, they're the kind of people that could benefit the most from it.
A lot of companies are going to be stopped from trying to continue forward with it because they'll look at this backlash and say, well, we don't want to be the next Battlefront 2. We'll become the vernacular after a while. Like, we don't want to be EA. I don't think Overwatch will change the way they're doing it because they don't seem to care about much anything anyone else is doing. But I could see Valve reworking some of their systems maybe to make it less gambly and maybe more, you know, you did this thing, you paid this much, you get a guaranteed these items out of this chest every time you open it or something like that.
Yeah, and we've been seeing Valve moving Dota in that way for a while now. Like you said, with some of the changes that they've made to their chests, it's definitely moving in that direction. So,
and I think just having like a guaranteed, like if you open this chest, you will have this piece of armor and this courier regardless. Like they can increase the amount of their chests, the cost of them after that, and then you know, okay, well, I'm gonna get this no matter what. At least I didn't gamble here. I know I'm getting these 3 items every time I purchase it, but they may start charging like $10 because now no, they're not gonna be selling as many anymore, you know.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because every time we get a new way of them monetizing something in game, people freak out about it and then they end up rebranding it and then we end up accepting it. You know, that's kind of the way DLC started out. And then now, you know, DLC and season passes are the standard. I'm not sure how they'll change it. I mean, it could be something that they change, you know, as part of a DLC. Maybe season pass rewards can get you loot boxes so that the only way to pay them or the only way to get them would be buying the season pass so you're getting these content, but then as a bonus you'll get these loot boxes, so it'll try to encourage people to buy the season pass. Maybe, I don't know. I think they'll definitely come up with something to monetize. If they're forced to change and start removing these from their games, they'll definitely find a new way to monetize.
Sadly, I think if it does get to that point, I think the next evolution will be offering a premium service for every game that comes out, as dumb as that sounds. Like, MMOs, like free-to-play MMOs, have started already doing it, where you can play the game and you can like go buy all the crap in the game shop, or you can pay like the tiny subscription cost, and usually it's like really cheap, like $5.99. And they already give you all the crap you'd probably buy anyway, and then they also get, okay, every week you get this bonus, you know, experience tome, something else like that. And if you turn season passes into a subscription, and I hope this never happens, like basically instead of paying $20 up front, you would basically pay like say $4.99 a month, and that may not seem like a lot, but if the DLC doesn't come out until December and you don't have an active at that point, they could say, well, you don't have an active, so you have to pay, you know, $20, and then they can just incentivize it by saying, well, every month or every week or something, you get this in-game bonus, which each one has a random chance, but you're not paying for the gambling, you're paying for the subscription, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that, as scary as that is, like if loot boxes disappear, that'll be EA's next move.
This could also be the thing that finally makes the price of games go up. You know, we could see the jump from 60 to 70 or 60 to 80 as well.
Right, and if that happens, you know, dang, but at the same time that will suck. That will suck. That's a whole $20 more that I don't expect, you know, but they're going to try to make their money. If they can't make it with loot boxes because it gets banned for some reason, they will, like you said, they may make the jump to the next price point there. Yeah, the one thing that's guaranteed is EA will find a way to continue to make money. That is, no matter what, they will continue to make money.